Install the rear lift kit with heavy-duty spring. Jack up the car and place it on stands for safety while maintaining just enough jack pressure without lifting the car. First, remove the factory springs. Remove the nut, washer, and bushings from the shock on the bottom factory U-bolt bracket. Then push the shock upward and out of the way. Save the hardware for later. Remove the nuts from the bottom factory U-bolt bracket, then remove the factory U-bolt from the bottom factory U-bolt bracket. Save the hardware for reinstallation. Remove the bolts from both ends of the factory spring mounts and remove the spring. Save the hardware. Factory spring removal is complete. Now install the lift kit. To help support the axle, completely install lift kit components on one side before replacing parts on the other. Before installing the heavy-duty spring, first install the supplied rubber bushings over the brass tubes. Then insert the assembly in both ends of the heavy-duty spring. A rubber mallet and a touch of lubrication is recommended. Next, position the spacer on the axle platform. Ensure that the top forward angle on the spacer is to the front of the car. Install the heavy-duty spring above the spacer to both spring and mounting points using the saved hardware. Allow sufficient installation space by gently and evenly lowering the heavy axle with the jack. Unfasten but not remove the opposite side hardware to prevent any twisting of mounting points. In this installation, the passenger side lift kit has already been installed and the hardware left unfastened. Ensure that the spring hex bolt always locks into the spacer top hole and the spring conforms to the top forward angle of the spacer. Lightly tighten the hardware on the spring ends. Next, place the supplied top bracket over the top of the heavy-duty spring, then insert the supplied U-bolt diagonally into the holes so that the U-bolt goes over the spring and spacer. Install the provided 25mm hex head bolt, washer, and nylock nut into the middle hole of the bottom factory bracket and fasten tight. Make sure the bolt is hex head up. The bolt serves only to lock the alignment of the lift kit in place with the axle. Install the bottom factory bracket onto the U-bolt, making sure that the 25mm hex head bolt is aligned into the bottom hole of the axle. Use the saved hardware to fasten the bottom factory bracket into place on the U-bolt just enough to keep the 25mm hex head bolt seated and aligned within the bottom axle hole. Pull the shock and saved bushing down into the top bracket extension hole and lightly fasten with the remaining bushing and hardware. Go back to the U-bolt to evenly tighten the hardware to evenly clamp the lift kit together. While fastening at the top, make sure that the hex bolt nut on the spring remains aligned to the spacer top hole and at the bottom. The 25mm hex head bolt remains aligned to the axle bottom hole. Use the jack to raise the assembly incrementally to evenly fasten the lift kit assembly. Go back to the shock to fasten the hardware. Once again, use the jack to help maintain even upward pressure of the axle during the fastening process. Lastly, tighten the hardware on both spring and mounting points of the newly installed heavy-duty spring. Repeat the hardware fastening on the passenger side. Install DoubleTake Deluxe wheels. Finally, install the color-matched Wicked wheel inserts by first pushing the wheel hub into the center of the wheel insert until it clips into the locking ring. Then push the entire assembly into the wheel until the wheel inserts clip into the wheel. Repeat on the passenger side. Once the lift kit and wheels are securely and safely installed, remove any stand supports, then gently release the jack pressure from the axle. DoubleTake, because looks matter.